What we're dealing with here is a total lack of respect for the law.
What's going on? Good morning, good afternoon, wherever you are. Wherever you're listening to this, it's America Unplugged, the War on Reality Report. I'm Billy Ray Valentine, and I'm joined by the legendary Don Jeffries. How are you, sir?
Good to be here. It's just too. It's like old days. It's like in the days of iconic. Yeah, the
Old
iconic days.
school, right? Old school America Unplugged. Just Don and I back in iconic. When we used to do the show over at David Icke, Jamie Ike's network over there. Back to our roots. Mr. Tony Arterburn is not around. He's doing something very important. I'm sure he heard that I was learning how to levitate, and he had to inevitably copy me because he's always trying to copy me. I don't understand. Why can't I levitate by myself? Why can't that be something that I own? No, but now Tony is learning how to levitate, and he's doing it better than I did because that's just the way it works. What's up, Tony? How you doing? Hope you're doing well. All right. Lots to talk about, Don, this week. Last week, I wasn't around. I went to San Francisco, who gets a lot of crap. It's actually a very charming city. I was over there for a bit, and I saw the Prodigy live, which is one of the greatest live bands in the history of live music. If you're into this sort of shit, of course. So I opened up with the Prodigy. What we're dealing with here is a total lack of respect for the law. And that's exactly what we're dealing with here. And I mean, not too long ago here on America Unplugged, when Mr. Trump, became the president of the United States, I'm old enough to remember what I said. And I told you that they were coming for American citizens, and people looked at me like I had 8,000 heads. Like, come on, oh my God. Why would they be coming for the American citizens? And that's exactly what they're doing. We've also reported here on America Unplugged several times about Nayib Bukele and El Salvador and the prison system that they're building over there, and how Donald Trump has been wanting to emulate that for forever. And here we are. Viktor Orban, of course, very happy, very proud. He's a proud papa of what he was able to do to the United States via Donald Trump and Nayib Bukele. They're the axis of evil, if you ask me. Those three, and of course, there's more. Kim Jong-un and Vladimir Putin. Now, Trump is there's rumors going around that he's about to recognize the Crimea as a part of Russia. Very good. Give him everything he wants. But more importantly, let's talk to the American people. I want to talk to the people. I want to talk to the working class as per usual. I want to talk to the 99.9% and how you're being screwed. Okay. And how half of the voting, half of the people that voted are still to some degree supporting the madman in chief, the big orange buffoon, the child in chief. They're still supporting this guy, even though he's digging in your pockets. I don't know what else to say. Now he's going to arrest you and throw you in a concentration camp over in El Salvador. That's the way. And we brought receipts, ladies and gentlemen. We'll be going through them throughout the course of the show. Of course, Mr. Stephen Miller, we're gonna concentrate on him for a little bit and talk about his ass completely just lying. I mean, this is what they do, but this is the most egregious example I've ever seen of lies. And this is the psychological warfare, the fifth generation warfare that we are under right now. And it's a clear example. So I want to talk about it. And of course, we'll talk about going to space. Katy Perry, she came back and she kissed the ground after 11 minutes because, She went up to space, and she can confirm that the Earth is flat. Don Jeffries, what's up?
Yeah, Pat. I don't think Katie. That was unbelievable. Just you talk about drama queen. I mean, she was up there for a couple. Well, she wasn't anywhere near space because the space station isn't anywhere near space. So that's one of the strongest arguments the flat earthers have. They don't go to space.
Right.
But they call it space. It came. Oh, her and what's her name? Gail King also kissed the Earth. So I was like, okay, that's that. You kiss the Earth. It's very dramatic, and you're so happy to be back after a few minutes. So that's pretty cool. We thought we lost you, but yeah, I can't argue as much, with you about Trumpenstein now. I can't even call him Trump anymore because he after what I thought was a roaring start, looked like full of promise. Everything is going in the Trumpenstein direction now. I don't know anything. You seem to have more confidence in you knowing what he's doing. I don't know what he's doing, especially as far as deporting people, because this mass deportation never happened. That guy Holman has disappeared. The tough talking hard ass guy that was basically claiming he was going to go in and pull entire families out himself. I don't know where he went. He's almost as invisible as RFK Jr. is. So who knows what happened to that guy? But now we have this crazy stuff where. I don't know what Trump is doing because he apparently is deporting fewer illegals than Joe Biden did, which is, I don't know how you do that. That's seemingly impossible, but somehow he's managing to do it while talking. But he's now going after people who aren't illegal here, who are here legally. And I just don't understand it. I don't know what I don't even know what the motivation there is. And in our area, we have a supposed MS-13 gang. I never see these guys, but supposedly he's an MS-13 gang. Again, it's like during 9/11, anybody named Muhammad, was, could be a terrorist. So now it's anybody that has the tattoos, especially if they have enough of them, and they're Hispanic, you can just say, well, they're a gang leader. Who knows? How do we know? We're not in a gang. So they claim this guy was. I still don't know what happened to him. They acted like they caught a big gang leader, like this is a huge catch, and this is like Moby Dick, we caught a big guy, and then they suddenly started saying, well, we're going to drop a lot of these charges, but they tried to say that, but it's like 4D chess thing, but that'll make it easier to deport him. So it's like, so I have no idea what's going on with that guy. I expect to see him at the 7-Eleven probably next week. I don't know, but I mean, so I don't know what happened to that guy, but I don't know what they're doing. They have the one guy that they, I guess, already deported that they know is here legally. And the El Salvador connection is very disturbing, and mainly because, I don't know. I really don't know why, if someone is here legally, you could argue if they came from El Salvador, that maybe, okay, that's where you send them back to. But if they did come from El Salvador, I think that's, that's not it's not a humanitarian, not a legal thing to do, to ship them to a country. What does El Salvador have to do with Mexicans or whatever, anybody else? So, but the fact that we're apparently paying them to take these prisoners, so this may be another grift where they think they can make some money back. To me, that's not winning. I don't see any deportations going on except maybe some legal people, and you're paying El Salvador to take some of these, and we don't even know. They were supposedly all gang members, and Kristi Noem posed in front of them and got them all excited, supposedly, but it looked like a green screen. I don't know, man. Just on immigration alone, this has turned into a mess. But this is kind of what we saw the first time with Trump, where he wasn't doing anything but talking. But this is more disturbing because he is doing something. It's just all the wrong things. So,
No, absolutely done, man. I mean, I don't know what he's doing either, to be clear. I don't think anybody does, right? I do follow it, and I try to stay on top of it. And I can point out to different things that he has done, but as for the reasons, I can only speculate, right? I don't know if anybody knows. I think he's gone totally mad. I don't get it. And a lot of times he just defers to a Stephen Miller or defers to Pam Bondi, defers to whomever else. Yes. He does not know what's going on. I think he just sits there and they tell him things and he's like, yeah, that sounds good. You have good hair, Mr. Trump. You look great today, Mr. Trump. We're going to ship a bunch of people to El Salvador, Mr. Trump. Absolutely. Very good. Let's do it. I mean, I'm simplifying things here, but you know what I'm trying to say, more or less. Right. He got caught on a hot mic talking about, hey, the homegrowns are next with Nayib Bukele in the Oval Office saying the homegrowns are left. You have to build more of these concentration camps. El Salvador admits that it's a freaking concentration camp. And the human rights violations that have been going on there for the last 3 years, he declared a state of emergency. If that place is the safest place in the world, which he claims by all metrics, it's very safe now. If it's the safest place in the world, why is there still a state of emergency? Why hasn't he given up his dictatorial powers? And this is what we get when we put dictators in charge and we put our faith in dictators. They don't give back the power. They always keep it. He is in his third term, if I'm not mistaken, Nayib Bukele, which is unconstitutional. He changed the Constitution. We should look for Donald Trump to appear to do the same. Steve Bannon, I mean, they're openly saying it now, right? This is not a speculation. Before, you used to say, hey, Donald Trump is going to, I remember being here after he won and Poikinen was on with us. And Poikinen was like, what are you talking about a third term? This is crazy, Billy. He's like, you've lost. I'm like, no, they're going to try to do this. Yeah. And now it's evident that they've openly said that they're looking for ways to have a third term. He's taking a page out of Viktor Orban. He's taking pages out of Nayib Bukele. If you want to know where the United States is headed, look at those countries and how they do things. It's a very dangerous time. But you could make the argument, oh, they're doing it to the illegals. Before it was the criminals. We're getting the criminals. We're not going to get anybody else. Then it turned into all of you have to go. And now, and it was still cool, right? For a lot of people, they were here illegally. We have to get them out. Now it's you. And it's evolved very quickly. It's only been 3.5-4 months. And they're already talking about deporting American citizens, homegrowns, ladies and gentlemen. Yes. People. I have examples of white people that they want to deport. Stay up on it. Go ahead.
No, it's however you look at it. The most disturbing thing about us, I mean, in Trump's first term, he ran on his rhetoric, and then as soon as he came in, Hillary was good people, and all that. He didn't prosecute anybody. He deported fewer people than Obama did, and now he's deporting fewer people than Biden. Nobody seems to notice, but the problem is everything you're seeing that he's concentrating on, from Greenland to renaming it the Gulf of America to Panama Canal, to Canada becoming a state. None of that was part of his campaign at all. And certainly nothing about the El Salvador prison. That was not, he didn't say anything like that. What we're going to do is we're going to send them all to El Salvador. It was nothing like that. He said they'll be gone, mass deportation, focusing on criminals first. So a lot of that sounded good. But the problem is all of this came, as soon as he came in, it was right before the inauguration, he started doing this nonsense about Greenland and everything. It's like, wait, where was that? Now, some MAGA people told me, well, he actually said something about it. Yes, well, I don't know. If he did, it was a one time and not many people noticed. But this has become his focus. And now, as you say, now Trump, we know somebody talked about due process in there, and you know how concerned I am about due process as a civil libertarian. But Trump is as far from a civil libertarian as can be. Right. He's certainly never going to be concerned with due process. Remember for the Second Amendment people out there, he said first we take the guns, and then we have the due process. So that's his idea of it. But in this case, he's talked about wanting to. He'll just cavalierly say someone should be deported that he doesn't like, So it's like, well, you can't do that. And again, what happened to the people? Start with the people that are here illegally. Start with the criminals, the people that are. But I don't know if you've heard, but. He's resurrecting something that he had in his first term that nobody talked about, and it's called touchback amnesty. He's doing it again. And you talk about ridiculous, where he's talking about, and I think he's talking about paying illegals. Any illegal, listen to the show, this is a great deal for you. He's not a good deal for America, but he's talking about paying illegals to self-deport, and then we'll help you come back in legally. What?
You're not coming back in.
Well, I mean, that makes right. What that's ridiculous. What sense does that make? I mean, you might as well just declare an amnesty. Why save the point of going in and out? But it's again, it's not what that anybody would have voted for. So at some point, especially with the stock market crashing because of the crazy tariff stuff and all this, because again, he's all over the place with that. Nobody knows what he's doing. He says different things every day, and it's having an effect. Probably, I think this is manipulated because I think the people that are behind him and everything are waiting, biding their time, and then they're going to jump right in right before it goes up. I would imagine that's what they usually do. But however you look at it, this is not what anybody voted for. The MAGA people can't be happy. Some of them are still saying they are. But I think at some point, it's not going to go for 4 years like it did last time. I just do not think that if you don't, especially if he does something like touchback amnesty, that's literally nobody in MAGA is going to support that. So if he continues to do this, if he loses, he's already lost a few in the Supreme Court, and he's going to keep losing because Amy Coney Barrett was a horrible pick and goes against him all the time. But again, MAGA people said he was great. She was great. So it's, like I said, I can't argue with you too much, really, because I mean, I never supported the guy. I just think the people the powerful people that supposedly hate him, I think this is all orchestrated, are just awful people. So, and Trump, for the most part, has been a big orange buffoon and a blowhard. Nice. But it's very, it's disturbing, this thing about the El Salvador prison. It needs to be investigated further. But again, much as the Republicans are toothless, the Democrats in Congress, because really the Democrats don't care about this. They don't care about the civil liberties or due process of anybody. They showed that with January 6th and everything else. So they're not going to care about that. All they care about is woke nonsense. If Trump starts deporting transgenders, maybe they might wake up at that point. But and that's the problem, is there's no effective opposition to it because the other party is insane with their crazy woke, we don't know what a woman is stuff. So where's the opposite? There's no sanity anywhere. Thomas Massey in the House, that's it. I don't know anybody else. The rest of them are just, they'll talk. They have TDS and they hate Trump, but I don't know what effective opposition they have to this. What are they doing really other than the judges here or there? And he's in a battle with, we have an imperial president going up against judicial review and an ineffective Congress, because Congress is the weak sister. They never get involved, and they're the ones that should step in and be doing something. They're not. So it's going to be a battle between Trump and to see how far. Maybe he'll take it far enough where he's just going to say, I don't care what the hell the judges say. He'll be like Andrew Jackson, you've made your ruling. Now let's see you enforce it. So maybe he'll do that. I don't think he's bright enough to do that, but.
Well, they've already done it. I have an issue with the mainstream media because they keep pussyfooting around. They're like, oh yeah, we may be in a constitutional crisis. Man, that happened a long time ago. We are way past that, but they won't acknowledge it for some reason. I don't understand. They're like, he's defying the courts. It might be a constitutional crisis. No. It totally is. He doesn't give a shit what the courts say. Now, see, the thing is, somebody like Stephen Miller is a very dangerous individual, and he's got Donald Trump's ear. So it is what it is. But there are some Democrats that are doing something about it, at the very least. I got footage here. Well, I'll play some of it or whatever. But Maryland Senator Chris Van Hollen, man, he got balls of steel, this dude, to take his ass down to CCOT. He went down to El Salvador to try to see if this guy, Abrego Garcia Kilmar, was alive. I commend the guy. Like, I would never set foot in El Salvador. It's not something, I guess if I was in a position of power and I had to do it, then I would, but otherwise I wouldn't. But this guy took it upon himself to go down there and confirm that this dude was alive. And here is it's a video. It's a still frame here of how they dressed this guy up. They gave him a hat. They gave him new shoes. They gave him a shirt, and he has, they're drinking margaritas apparently at some point or whatever. There's a whole conspiracy about that. But El Salvador, really set this up in order for it to look a particular way. So we can't take anything that came out of this. That he's been transported out of CCOT which is the jail that everybody's familiar with now, into another hellhole in El Salvador. And that's the thing. The CICAT is the newest jail, so it gets the most attention. But there are several other concentration camps filled with MS-13 gang members down in El Salvador. And if somebody's innocent and they're sending them down there, it's an issue. All right. I mean, I don't think anybody wants to end up in an El Salvador gulag, but hold on. Let's play a little bit of this and see what. I haven't heard this, by the way. I just looked at the picture and it looked like something I can use. So here we go.
Tonight, this picture is igniting a political firestorm. Maryland Senator Chris Van Hollen is now back in the U.S. after that surprise half-hour meeting at a hotel with Kilmore Abrego Garcia, the migrant the Trump administration initially said was mistakenly deported last month to a notorious.
Now that's him. And they were able to identify him by a tattoo he had by his neck. This is him in CICAT. This is what they do to people in El Salvador. This is what they will do to American citizens when they are sent to El Salvador. Donald Trump is actively looking at ways to send people down there. And he has even floated the idea that a part of CICAT would be under American jurisdiction. It would be an American territory, a part of the jail. That way he can send you there and you'll still be under American rule to some degree. You come into this jail, you are never coming out. That's just the end of it. It is a black hole. People have been missing in here for years now, innocent people. And their families are now active. There was a protest in El Salvador, which is something you wouldn't see before. But now there's protest against Bukele in El Salvador. Let's keep playing this one.
Prison in El Salvador.
This case is not just about one man. It's about protecting the constitutional rights of everybody who resides in the United States of America.
What else?
And he's absolutely right. You know, and put your views about immigration and people like that aside. We are all entitled to due process. And if they take it away from one, they take it away from all of us. We need to be super crystal clear about that. And the issue that this presents for us as Americans, and quite frankly, for people around the world, you know, but it's here in America that it's taking hold. It's all of us. Any of us can end up in an El Salvadorian gulag without the proper trial or due process or anything like that. Don, let's get some comments from you before we continue.
I know, and that's the that's the real problematic thing here is you have a third party involved. You have a country like El Salvador again, unless you could argue that if you're going to deport people who are here illegally, they should theoretically be deported back to their country of origin. But if these people are not from El Salvador and they're here illegally, then that's again, Congress should be involved. And they say, you know, this is, I mean, it's an impeachable offense, you know, if you're doing something like that. But you know, but the idea that so as I understand, so this guy was deported to El Salvador like a lot of these others, and then the Trump administration has admitted they made an error, that he was here illegally or something, or shouldn't have been deported, right. But he's still there. Mm-hmm. And is it because El Salvador is not cooperating? They won't give him back, or what's the holdup? Why can't they get him back if the government's admitting they made a mistake? Trump says he has no power to bring him back, and Nayib Bukele of El Salvador says he has no power to return him. They're bullshitting. They're each lying about this. It's clear that Trump can make we're paying for this. Yeah, Trump exactly. And say, hey, bring him back, and that's it, right? Yes, then, exactly. If he's really an MS-13 member, you try him, you bring out the evidence, and if he is, bon voyage, right? You know, it's really that simple. But they are not trying to do this. They're trying to really just shun the courts and say, no, we're not going to listen to you. Pretty much, you've made the ruling, now enforce it, right? And they're playing. Oh, go ahead, Don. What's up? No, and you're right, and that's. But this is why I said what Trump is doing is so far removed from his campaign rhetoric
Right.
Again, this is, again, people, a lot of this, I think that illegal immigration as a whole has been a huge problem in America for a long time because we don't have enough resources for the people already here. The last thing you need are more people. You're telling Americans not to have babies because there's too many people. So we don't need more people, but they want cheaper labor, and that's what it's doing. It's driving down. So eventually we're all going to be paupers. So you needed to do something about it, but this is not what anybody signed up for. First of all, because this is, even if this guy was a vicious MS-13 gang member, if he was here legally, then of course he has to have due process. You can't just deport him without doing that. And we don't know that he didn't look too vicious to me. I don't know what a gang leader is supposed to look like, but he kind of looked like, I don't know, he just looked kind of like a soft regular guy. I don't know. He didn't look like any kind of vicious guy to me. But the idea that this is, instead of the mass deportations, because we're not saying, we're seeing fewer deportations than we saw under Biden. And Trump has finally put some military at the border, but in typical Trumpenstein style, he's doing it nonsensically. He just put, I think, 500 troops at Big Bend, Texas, which has had almost no crossings for years. It's like the one of the least active places for crossing. So why are you putting 500 troops there? Where there's no, and see, this is why I said he's an actor. It makes no sense. Obviously, if you're going to do that, you would deploy the military at the place where they've been coming across by the thousands, like they did under Biden. That's what you do. And supposedly border crossings are way down under Trump. But again, I can't trust anything that we say about it. We don't really know anything that's going on, but this is not something we signed up for. And everyone's getting distracted over one individual that for whatever reason, they selected this guy and shipped him to El Salvador, apparently without doing their homework or not even knowing his citizenship status. And again, it leaves it. We took his son. Yeah, and that's you're seeing these kind of egregious things where people are getting abused by the system, but the problem, it still looks like it's largely unaddressed. And I don't think, I said this before, I don't think they have too much of a vested interest. You leave aside the right-wing theory of the great replacement and that we're being replaced, white people have been replaced. The both sides have an interest in this cheap labor. I don't think they're going to let this go because they don't want, and that may be why Trump is focusing on the legals. Maybe he wants to, maybe it's going to be however many of us are left and a bunch of illegals. So, because they know they don't have to pay them anything. I don't know. Maybe that's their new strategy, is to keep everybody here, and so we can all pay them at the same rate that we pay people who aren't here legally. So it's, like I said, it's a mess.
A lot of what was said around the immigration issue is crumbling right now. It's in search of evidence, right? That we're talking about how too many people, and then they're like, no. Please leave the farmers here, the people that are helping the farm. We need them here, right? Please leave from whatever industry people are looking. Hey, we need these people here. There's another thing. The jobs that they were taking from Americans, that nobody seems to want these jobs, so they want to try to retain. They're petitioning Donald Trump to not deport their illegal workers, farmers all over the United States. And in Florida, they're trying to make the age limit. I think they did it. I'm not even sure. Don't quote me on it, but they're trying to make the age limit to work 14 now because they're missing. They
want child labor. They want child labor.
and they don't want to pay for it, right? So it's a little both, right? Like I think the whole immigrants, there's too many of them are, it's I think Biden did us a huge disservice by letting so many people in and allowing for this whole narrative to be weaponized to the point that it was, because it provided valid talking points for the right to say, hey, we got a problem here. And in reality, there was a problem, right? But there's been a lot of people here for a long, long time that are hardworking, right? And that have been producing in society and paying into a system that wouldn't pay back for them, because illegal immigrants pay into the Social Security system. They pay into all of these things through taxes, but they don't receive any of the benefits, right? Regardless of that, we are looking at people petitioning Donald Trump say, don't deport these people. So a lot of that's falling apart, right? But let's look at this real quick. This is in the Bronx, in the freaking Bronx. All right. ICE took his son from their Bronx apartment. Now he's in El Salvador, a mega prison. A guy, a young man, 19 years old, with no criminal record, nothing, not a part of a gang, nothing. They took him because the person that they were looking for wasn't there. So they just ended up taking this guy. And then they sent him to El Salvador. This is off the street. They just went and took him. Does this sound like the America you want to live in? I don't know. I don't know. And if you're saying, hey, it's only happening, to the illegals, it's only happening. Here's another one. Let me show this one real quick. I'll show these all again tomorrow night. We're gonna go in tomorrow night, live on Ground Zero Plus and on Tony's X. U.S.-born American citizen under ICE held in Florida after driving from Georgia. You know what I mean? And then there was another one that his mother had to. They had his birth certificate. And the judge was like, yeah, it's a valid birth certificate, but they couldn't release him because he was under ICE jurisdiction. Spent the weekend in jail. And they finally
and these are the same ICE people that have stood by and let people cross the border. There's so much corruption, and these are, as I said so many times, Billy, these are simple problems. But you can't fix anything if you have nothing but corrupt, compromised people in positions of power, and that's all we have. We have almost no honest people anywhere in power, or if they are, they're so outnumbered. So this is a problem. Look, if you have too many, first of all, we should have never reached this point to have so many people crossing the border. Why are people crossing the border? They can't do it unless you allow them, and we've allowed them. Why? We have military personnel in over 150 countries around the world. We're dedicated. Biden sent I don't know how many hundreds of troops to Ukraine to protect their border, right, while he was letting everybody come across our border. It's a very simple solution. You take a fraction of those troops, and those troops should all be brought home because they have no business in those countries. It's going back to World War II. Brings a fraction of them home, line them up along the border. Nobody else is coming across. They're just not. It's not going to happen anymore. Yeah, but the problem is you already had millions of people here that's already been here. And you have the I don't know how reality about them staying in 5-star hotels and getting credit cards and all that stuff. If any of that's true, obviously, it's ridiculous.
Yeah, but some of it was true for sure.
Yeah, and so this should be easy to fix. It's just like the Doge disclosures in Social Security. If you have dead people, especially if they're 300 years old or whatever, if you have dead people getting Social Security, how do you fix that? Well, the check was sent somewhere. It was sent to an address or it was sent to a bank account. So you assign somebody in Doge, one of the bright young 19-year-olds, okay, go talk to that person. Ask how he's getting Social Security for somebody that died in 1789. And that's what you do. If that's real, it's an easy fix.
And then you largely bullshit done. Largely.
And if they don't do that, then it must be bullshit. But the problem is, if that problem is there, that's how you resolve it. So if you have too many people coming across the border, and you have an ICE supposedly that their sole job is to prevent this, and they're apparently capable of going and just like the regular police going in the apartment and taking the wrong guy. We don't know how often SWAT teams do that. So ICE sounds very much like a SWAT team, shooting the wrong person or going to the wrong house, which they do all the time. So it sounds very simple because they're not doing their regular job, which is supposed to be guarding the border, watching for this. And I said, all you have to do is say, if you're a country and you want us to be a sovereign nation, you just tie government benefits to citizenship status. That's all you have to do. And you will get the self-deportations. You don't need any touchback. Here, from now on, if you're not here legally, you can't get any government benefits at all. You can't. So that's a very rational thing. But they don't do that. They don't do that at all. And instead, they just kind of keep talking in circles and flying them all over the place. And then when you have a guy coming in that's supposed to be finally, we're going to have an angry American leader doing something about this. And he's doing this kind of clownish stuff. which you can't even figure out what he's doing. He's involved El Salvador. What the hell does El Salvador have to do with this? I don't even know. I would guess that probably only a fraction of the illegals coming are from El Salvador. Maybe I'm wrong, but I would think most of them are Mexican but I don't know. But so why are they involved? I mean, if they had a Mexican super prison, okay, when you send the Mexicans back there, and it's a shame if they're subjected to that, but
just send them to the countries that they came from. And
exactly. How hard is that? Yes.
Whatever they want to do with them at that point. You don't have to send them to the maximum security prison. Kilmar is from El Salvador, for whatever it's worth. They sent about 200 or 300 Venezuelans there already. But this guy is from El Salvador. The thing is, he wasn't supposed to be deported. He was legally here in the United States. And they had a special do not deport to El Salvador. Like, send them anywhere. Don't send them there because, they were going to kill him or something. And that's exactly where they sent him. So this guy is from El Salvador, but he is the outlier. Everybody else is like from Venezuela or anywhere, right? They're just like, send them all to El Salvador. And that's where we find ourselves here. But for those of you, and I know it's not a lot of you, but I have to show this anyway, because we're all brothers and sisters. We are all in this struggle together. But some of you seem to think that you're untouchable because of your race and who and what, because you're white or your level in society. Let's watch this real quick.
And if I don't leave, the federal government will find me.
Please deport the United States immediately. Those are the words Arizona immigration attorney Pamela Riolas-Said got in her email last week. The problem? Riolas-Said is a U.S.-born citizen.
So it came from the domain at cbp.dhs.gov. So able to verify that that's from the government domain where, as an immigration attorney, I've seen plenty of emails using.
I don't think it's any surprise that this lady is an immigration attorney, that they're going after her for this. You want to talk about retribution, and Donald Trump said the best retribution is being successful. Clearly, that was a bunch of nonsense. Was a bunch of nonsense, Yeah,
and again, this is somebody else that why is why they're deporting fewer illegals than Biden did. And yet they're taking people that aren't illegal and throwing them in El Salvador. In this case, it's a woman who was born here and was an immigration attorney. I mean, this is what I'm talking about. Trump. And why I call it the Trumpenstein Project. They took this guy, and I feel more strongly about it than ever. They got this guy. There's a huge populist sentiment out there, Billy. There is. On the left and the right, people know 80% of the people are getting screwed in this casino economy. 80%, just like a casino, 80% have to lose for 20% to win. That's the way it works. It's always worked that way. So, for those 80%, especially the ones near the bottom, they're going to be receptive to populist rhetoric that we have to do this and that. We need to do things that will make their lives better. Huey Long's type of stuff. And so what they did is they took Bernie Sanders first and Donald Trump at the same time, and they tested. They did, and both of them were drawing huge crowds. They eventually went with Trump because Trump has a more divisive personality, and that's what they were looking for. And so he succeeded admirably. I mean, this is a guy. He has divided the country almost down the middle, and it's very few people like me that don't hate or love him. That everybody either hates or loves him. Almost everybody. Families are broken up over this stuff. And people, marriages probably are broken up over it. But, the problem is he had 4 years before. The problems weren't addressed. The problems that he talked about. He didn't lock up he didn't drain not even a millimeter of the swamp. He did nothing. Only his people got prosecuted by his Justice Department. So he didn't do any of that. He didn't build the infrastructure up that he was rightfully criticizing hasn't been touched in 60 years. He didn't bring the troops home that he talked about doing. He bombed Syria whenever they ordered him to. And then second time around, he gets in. Well, the last time he was distracted, they were constantly going after him and impeaching him every other week and constantly in court with lawfare and all that. There are points there, yes. But he comes in as this flurry of executive orders, and I still can't even keep. He might have signed an executive order about tying benefits to citizenship status. I can't even remember because he signed so many of them. But you can't govern by executive order because you're just going to have a court most of the time overturn it. So this is, you have to have a Congress cooperate, but nobody wants to solve these problems. Nobody wants to solve the immigration problem. They're here for a reason. These people aren't stupid. Going back to the 80s, you think they didn't know what they were doing when they were letting people? You think that those people are that clever that they're sneaking by and somehow they don't know where they're sneaking in? They can't figure out a way to stop them. Where I live, and I'm sure where you or most people live, there are Home Depots and places like that where you could just send ICE people over to the Home Depots every morning at the crack of dawn. And you all they have to do is just have them walk around in ice jackets. They'll get the point. Because how you tell me I know that and they don't know that? They're not doing any of the sensible things. They never have, and because they want them here. And all and the reason they want them here is not because they like them or anything. They'll exploit them, and they're exploiting them. But they serve the purpose of lowering our standard of living. Their standards of living because they're coming from desperate circumstances. But when they come here, so they're happy to have cable TV and a heated home, air conditioning. Oh, it's cool. This is great. I got a bunch of American. I can eat all this crappy fast food. To them, it's an improvement, and they'll work hard for a tiny little bit of money. But what happens? The American people, the citizens that have been here, our standard of living is so because they use those people against us. Hey, man, Jose's willing to work, 18 hours a day. And, if he falls off the roof, he's not going to complain. Why don't you suck it up, Buttercup, you stupid, lazy American? That's what they're doing. And
who's going to do these jobs when these people are gone, right? If the farmers are begging Donald Trump to keep some of these people, if not all of these people, because they can't find anybody to do the job, right? So that used to be the argument, right? But
yeah,
they're taking jobs from Americans. Who is going to wait the tables? Who is going to work in the back of the kitchen for next to nothing? Who's going to do these?
Well, you're right, but Billy, somebody used to do it. I tell people this all the time. I mean, I remember when the word Hispanic hadn't been invented when I graduated from high school. They just invented it because they use it as a political tool. So it encompasses people from all different countries, and you say, well, that's a Hispanic, and they use it as a voting block. But no, there were almost no Hispanics here at that time. So somebody cut the lawns. Somebody did landscaping, somebody did roofing, somebody did construction, but I can tell you, roofing, construction, jobs like that paid a lot more. Restaurants never did. Yeah. So they know as soon as they came here, well, we'll just give him $10 for the day. And hey, if he makes any waste, then we'll contact the immigration authorities. So they like the way this is because the farmers are screwed anyhow. I don't know what they can afford to pay anyhow because they're trying to drive them out of existence too. So it's a problem that shouldn't be there, but it was allowed to be exacerbate over decades now. No one's done anything. Trump did nothing at all during his first 4 years. So Biden was able to make it that much worse by allowing all the ridiculous numbers of crossings and everything and whatever benefits he was giving them for no reason at all. This is a huge problem now, but it's tied into the main reason is because, and this is what we find with everything, why I wrote the book Survival of the Richest. No, they don't want to pay people. So they want them to work. And at this point, I'm all with the young people. I understand that. If I was young today, I'd be wanting universal basic income too. Because I'd look out there and say, hey, this way at least I can stay in my basement and play video games. When I'm going out there, what am I going to do? I'm going to go work 8 hours. I'm going to get no respect at all. Probably during COVID, I'm going to have to wear masks and get a vaccine and all that kind of crazy stuff. Why would I have any interest in doing that? There's almost no chance of me being promoted. Maybe a tiny step up, but even then I'll be lucky to even make $20 an hour. Not enough to live on my own anywhere. And there's no upward mobility. People don't see a path anymore. They don't get any kind of reward for their service. All the benefits that I had years ago, it's all gone now. We used to have so many perks. People can't even imagine the kind of stuff we used to get. Personal days off, vacation, sick leave separate, all kinds of, things that we don't have anymore. And, not to mention just, they were kind of replaced everything with a 401k, but you used to have a traditional pension that could end up, if you worked at a company long enough, you'd end up with a nice little nest egg when health insurance used to be much better. businesses, when I first started working there, my business paid 100%. As long as I went to a facility near them, I didn't pay a penny. All that has gone downhill because they've chipped away at it, and the presence of cheap labor has had a whole lot to do with that. Because I'm telling you, this is why they want slaves. They resent having to pay people anything. They literally don't want to pay it. That's why you had the right come up with their virtue signaling of calling rich people job creators. Job creators? Oh, how many jobs have you created? What do you mean job creators? You think that you think that guy doesn't have to have somebody doing the work while he makes the profit?
And this trickle down economics bullshit, man.
Yes, it's complete bullshit.
What it's been decades now, man, and it has not paid off, right? It just the disparity of wealth just keeps growing and growing and growing and growing. So I don't subscribe to that point of view. Ron Helton in the chat, if I'm saying it right, what's up, buddy? How are you? Comment of the day: as bad as Biden screwed up this illegal entry into the country, which he absolutely did, we have to respect the right of these people to have their day in an immigration court. Otherwise, rule of law is just BS, 100%. And I wish other people would see it in that same fashion, because that's the ultimate problem here. We're running low on time. I want to play at least one more. We'll get to Stephen Miller Sunday at 7 p.m. Eastern. I will be on the air. Sunday at 7 p.m. Eastern on Tony's X. We're going to try to go live on Rumble. I don't know how to do that. I'm going to try to figure it out. Maybe Tony could step me through. And maybe on my X, I think I'm going to just purchase whatever the fuck they want me to purchase so I could stream there for the time being until we figure out something else that we're going to do. But let me play this one more clip of somebody else getting self-deport letter from the government.
They don't really care who they're trying to deport or ask to leave the United States.
When Massachusetts resident Nicole Micciarone received this email on Friday telling her to leave the country, she was baffled.
At first I thought it was for a client, but I looked really closely and the only name on the email was mine. It said that my parole status had been terminated and I should leave the country within 7 days.
But the 40-year-old is a U.S. citizen.
I think it's most likely a mistake, and they're just casting a really wide net. But it's a little concerning that these are going out to U.S. citizens.
Micciarone is an immigration attorney working with many clients.
Another immigration attorney, yeah. Another immigration attorney, right? Just so happens to be white. Listen, they're going to start taking people. They've already started taking people off the streets. Americans are Americans, whether you're black, white, Hispanic, Asian, it doesn't matter. You're an American. That's what America is, right? If you're going to start taking people off the streets, it affects all of us, each and every one of us. If you start silencing people for giving their opinions, which they are also doing, and my God, who was it? Sebastian Gorka said, man, I wish I had that clip. Man, listen, I will have it on Sunday. He literally said that anyone who defends somebody like Kilmore, Garcia, or any of these people is aiding and abetting.
Oh boy, an enemy, yeah.
And that is a crime, he said. They're trying to make us all criminals that have any type of dissent toward this administration, this regime that you're doing. Go ahead, sir.
This is exactly, again, why the phony left-right paradigm, why Huey Long called him High Papa Low and Low Papa High and Tweedledum Tweedledee. This is exactly the same kind of thing that you saw with the Biden Justice Department trying to characterize angry parents at school boards as domestic terrorists. It's the same kind of thought process where if you don't agree with somebody, how they're protesting, and it's the same kind of thing where you're seeing with the Trump administration on college campuses now. Now the same, before they were concerned when conservative speakers weren't allowed to, were pressured by woke people. Nicole yeah, that's true. Yeah.
What's going on? Yeah, I'll relay the message, Twisted.
Yeah, it should happen. Then you might get deported too. Come on, you're aiding and abetting that, aren't you?
Here we go to El Salvador. Go ahead, buddy.
Yeah. But so so when you have something like this where where you already have Trump basically he is concerned with illegals that make any anti-Semitic comments. So if you're an illegal out there listening, don't criticize Israel, because you're going to be on the radar then. I can guarantee you that. And I don't know how many of them are doing that, but he has mentioned that. And again, he's looking at the citizenship status of the student protesters and things like that, because again, but only the ones that, because they're protesting for Palestine. So this is the exact same kind of thing we saw the left do when they tried to censor conservatives. So neither side, they're both bankrupt. They're both morally bankrupt. There's no consistency. Neither one of them believe in due process. The left didn't care about the due process of January 6ers. They sat there for years in prison. The right doesn't care about the due process for people like this guy that was carted off to El Salvador, or maybe these immigration attorneys. Maybe that's what they're doing. Maybe they've decided not to deport the illegal immigrants, but to deport their attorneys, so they won't have any representation. So maybe that's what they're doing. I mean, this is a 4D chess game. Trump is, as usual. Right. He's more brilliant. People, you know what he's doing, by going after these attorneys. I'm sure there's some kind of brilliant scheme here we just don't know about. And, it's at some point, people are going to have to stop saying that, but it's a mess. And what I'm most afraid of is what I said, that after Trump gets done, whatever the Trumpenstein story ends, the project ends, and who knows when that'll be, that whatever possibility, remote possibility there ever was for an independent political movement is gone. Right. Because because anybody that starts talking about some of these issues, what happened the last time, Trump, you sound like Donald Trump. So what are you supposed to do? You can't talk about immigration anymore. You can't talk about bringing in the deep state criminals that are above the law. And what maybe even talk about?
Where is the deep state? Let's have an honest conversation about.
Well, that's their term. You're right. I mean, it's the establishment, but yeah,
they are in power right now, defying the courts, cleaning out freaking whatever they want. Where's the deep state that they keep referring to?
Well, they're part of it. Yeah, again, they're talking about they're part of it.
It's the deep state. We're looking at it right now. It's them.
Go
ahead, buddy. Sorry.
Yeah, no, it's a huge. And that's when again they're parts of the establishment fighting with each other, and the same thing. They're all in the same swamp. They probably have their own little area, down there. But they all need to be cleaned out. As far as I'm concerned, I'd like to see in Washington D.C. vacuumed out, except for Thomas Massey. He can stay. Everybody else, I want gone. I don't think any of the rest of them are any good. But I don't know what the solution is, because
we got to keep AOC done. Come on, you got to give me something.
AOC. Well, I think you should take AOC in to protect her from the immigration authority. So maybe you could.
Right. We can do that. I'm sure Twisted has areas for her in his home as well. Paulina, whatever her name is.
Oh yeah, Paulina. Yeah, I don't want to see her touched either. So.
Right, she can stay. That's cool. But Lauren Bobart and Marjorie Taylor Greene, they need to go immediately. I want to address this comment before we get out of here. We were kidding, by the way, just in case you didn't know. Jackson Barrett, what's going on, buddy? How are you? Greetings. Thank you for tuning in week after week after week. We appreciate you. Says that my boy Helton is wrong. During an invasion, and in caps, courts are not the remedy. Immigration and here's the deal. This is the fifth generation warfare. The fourth generation warfare that we're dealing with here. And I've been talking about this for quite some time, and I meet some resistance on it, but now we're seeing the fruits of what this gives off. We're talking about an invasion. This is a weaponized term used by these people on the right. It was, I forget what book it came out of that literally white supremacists read. All right. And they talk about, and we'll talk about it tomorrow night, Lord willing. Happy Easter to everybody. And talk about an invasion. It's not an invasion, but they'll use these terms because what does it lead to? An invasion is a war. The Alien Enemies Act was invoked as a part of a war. And then who gets caught up in the war? They're using semantics. They're using these terms against us, and we're going along with it. And at the end of the day, what do they get out of all of this? Full power, and they freaking kidnap you and you end up in El Salvador. That's what's going on here. We can continue to use these terms the way they're feeding them to us because that's what's been happening. You're listening. Go ahead, Doug. What's up?
Well, no, the invasion is again, it's a coded word, and it's completely misrepresents what's happening, because an invasion is like a third party coming into your country bypassing you or like overpowering you or something. This is something where the borders, the people that have been coming in have been welcomed in, waved in with open arms. They could have stopped them at any moment. They never have. And we saw that over and over again. They were flying them around the country to different areas. It's ridiculous to call it an invasion. Now, if you want to call it, if you want to call it an invasion, then you have to look at who's orchestrating the invasion. And you would look at, during the Biden administration, you look at all those people who allowed it to happen. But they're not coming, they're not able to come in. And certainly they could not overpower the U.S. military or ICE or anything if they wanted. But if they don't do their jobs, and they're not, then this is what you have. It fits the definition of an invasion. But the problem is it's not an enemy force that's invading. This is an army of cheap labor that is being recruited to be here. And it's already succeeded. As somebody pointed out in the chat, this is gone. This is the horse left the barn a long time ago. And that now we have to address immigration isn't the only factor that caused wages to drop so much and what you have now, as I've said many times, half the country has nothing. The bottom 50% of America have less than 1% of collective wealth. And that's growing with the numbers of illegals that are coming in at the very bottom. So it might be up to 55% now. Who knows? Right. But you can't have an economy like that. You can't. So the middle class is being squeezed out of existence, what's left of it, and you're going to eventually wind up with a bunch of paupers, peasants, and this is what they want. They want people living for crumbs, and they'll have a managerial class at the top that'll rule things, and they'll make the rules, and they'll make sure because already it's happening. People, there is no hope, or there's no upward mobility. So I don't want to hear that bullshit from the conservatives about the marketplace and all that stuff. It's ridiculous. The marketplace exists for most people to hold them down and to pay them just enough, maybe to eke by and pay the interest on their credit cards or something. But this is we need a real populace in there. We don't have any on the horizon, and it's a shame and I don't know what anybody could do. The mess is so big now, and the job is so. They talk about draining the swamp. Well, the problem is people talking about draining the swamp are part of the swamp too. The swamp is huge, and there's nobody with power that will do anything about it. So that's why I said Trump was, when he first came, I said, this is, my son's pumped for WrestleMania too. I think
I was talking to John yesterday about WrestleMania, actually. Shouts to John. What's up, buddy? How you doing? Go ahead.
Oh, yeah. He's playing. He's having his buddy over, and they're going to be watching it. But again, I watched that. I just shake my, but it's really not. And again, if you watch that, that's why when you watch Trump govern, there's a WWE thing in there, because he's a WWE Hall of Famer.
Yes, he is.
But the problem is it's his first term was more humorous, where you could laugh at it more. But this is turning dark. I said I don't like the El Salvador. I'm glad that one congressman went there, but I don't know what'll be gone with it. I think hopefully if he went there, maybe he'll try to come up with some kind of legislation. Say we should not. Why do we have a relationship with another country in terms of a prison? Again, there should be no relationship there at all, unless we're deporting illegals from El Salvador and we're deporting it back there. And then, it's unfortunate and then we may even want to consider, okay, do we really want to send somebody to be put in that super prison? I don't know. But I don't know what else you can do. So it's unfortunate. We're going in the wrong direction in all areas. I don't see any. I saw some light earlier with when Trump began this, but he's veered off now down a road. I don't know what he's doing, and we're just kind of holding on for as we're going around these reckless curves on the roller coaster, and we're just hoping we don't end up flying off the tracks.
Tourism in the United States has plummeted. Nobody wants to come here anymore, and it's such a beautiful country. Even the major cities are like awe-inspiring sometimes. Come to New York, right? It is dirty, but go to Manhattan and go look at the Empire State Building and tell me that doesn't do something to you. But nobody wants to come. Nobody wants to come anymore. It's crazy what's going on, and it really hurts me as an American, because I grew up under like super patriotism. I was bombarded with the propaganda in the 80s, when I was a little kid, and especially with Hulk Hogan, like he was a real American, and I was like, man, I'm so happy to be an American. And I still am. I'm very proud of being from the Bronx. I'm very proud of being from New York, and I'm very proud of being an American. But damn, you know, what's going on today. It's just like, man, what the hell, you know? And we need to do something about it. We need to take back our country for real. We're not making America great. We're just not doing it. It's by all meters. We can't measure it. It's not working out. This is. I don't know what to say. Before we get out of here, Don, I don't know how much time you have left. We're already over. Let me tell you the time just in case you got to go. It's 1:06. But I do want you to talk about Miss Katy Perry and going up to the moon if you can for a little bit. If you can't, it's all good.
Yeah, no, we'll give a few minutes. But yeah, I just think there are people that want to that laugh at people talking about Sandy Hook or any of these other events and things not being real. Again, there's so much that's scripted. This is being presented to you as a real thing. That they went up in some. I thought it was 4 minutes, but somebody said 11 minutes. But whatever. Apparently, it was like an amusement park ride. You know, where basically you were shot up in the air. You didn't go anywhere near space, but they're trying to claim they were in space. They played that ridiculous game that they do at the space station where they're floating. I don't know if they use CGI or whatever, but I mean, they were. I don't think that's scientifically possible, but that's and as somebody pointed out, I think Jimmy Dore, they were only up there for a few minutes. And you'd think you'd be looking out the windows the entire time. They just ignored it. They literally never looked out the window. They're taking selfies and looking at each other and giggling and stuff. It's like, what? This is so stupid. This is the idiocracy. And then they come back down to earth. And Katy Perry runs out, you know, and this is somebody who hasn't been relevant. She's probably jealous that Russell Brand has become much bigger than her ex-husband. And she runs out and kisses the ground. Like, oh my God, that 4 minutes seemed like an eternity. I never thought I'd be back here. You know, it's like, what? And then what's her Gayle King, who is famous for being whatever she is to Oprah, runs out and kisses the ground too. It was and Zuckerberg, Bezos is, I will give Bezos credit. It looks like he's been working out. So he's at least he's put his billions to use, I guess. But so his latest somehow his girlfriend got to go up there. And so she comes out too. And I said, this is why was this news that went up for 4-11 minutes is like not just because the bimbos in space or whatever. And, again, most of us don't think they went anywhere, but this is America 2.0. It's all it's going. This is a news story. People pay attention to it. And pretty much everybody, I don't think anybody thought it was real. Everybody said this is fake. But, except for the people, just like everybody thought Epstein killed himself, except for the government that investigated it. I didn't think Epstein killed himself, except for the government that investigated it. Same thing here. The government could investigate it, and NASA would say, no, this really happened. It was true. It really was.
Duke Valentino in the chat wants to know if you believe in human cloning, or are these celebrities just robots? I would refer, Don's going to answer this, but I would refer you to Peter Beater. Go look up Peter Beater on YouTube. He will give you all the answers you want if you choose to believe that sort of thing. What's up, Don?
Yeah, no, he thought Jimmy Carter had been replaced by a clone because he started parting his hair on the other side or something. That's proof positive, man. I think they probably have human clones. I don't know. But again, what do they say? Don't they say that it's a Hillary clone now, and Joe Biden was died or was replaced by a clone halfway through. So, this is a problem where you go down that road. It's like, okay, and how do you prove it? How are you going to prove it? I think they have the technology. And if they wanted to do it, they would. Duke, I don't know. I can't say for sure. I'm not in there. They don't invite me to Bohemian Grove or anything, so I don't know.
Don't? Damn.
No.
Shit. How the hell are we supposed to know what's going on in there? Actually, when I was up in San Francisco, there's the Bohemian Lounge or the Bohemian Club. It's the same thing as Bohemian Grove, but it's a different location, and it's in San Francisco. And I was like, oh look, that's that. So I got to see that. But the Grove itself is further along somewhere else or whatever. It's about 2 hours from there, something like that. That's not a place where I want to go. Places I don't want to go: Bohemian Grove, El Salvador, and wherever Ebola originated from. I don't want to go there. That's it. Let's say goodbye to the people, sir. Tons of people in the chat. What's up to all of you? We're gonna try to shout you out. Ron Helton comments of the week. Thank you. Come back. You and Twisted make a hell of a team. So come back. Liz, the Iron Maiden. God bless you. Where are you coming up? Hit me up on the side. Let me know where you're gonna be. safe travels over here, man. Wipe any derogatory statements you might have about the current regime here in the United States off your phone. Just to be sure. They've been taking people's phones and at the border and going through them. And if you had something bad to say about Trump, they might not let you in the country. They've done stuff like that already. There are reports all over about stuff like that. I don't think so much for tourists, but definitely for people working out their immigration status and they're coming back into the United States, they're just bumped out. But still, you don't want to encounter any issues. Anybody traveling to the U.S., it's dangerous. So make sure you wipe stuff off your phone. They do have the right to take your phone and go through it. They don't have the right for your access code. But if they get your phone and it's already logged in, they can go through it and do whatever they want. So there is that. Who else do you see over on your end on your YouTube channel, sir?
Oh, we got Jackson T. Barrett. Chris Buchan finally shows up. I didn't see Chris, by the way, he was talking about this comedian Leonardo Joni or something like that. It's very controversial. And he said he told her about the show. I was watching her last night. She is bold. I'll give her that. She's got balls of steel. So if you know her, yeah, I'd like to certainly like to have her on the show. Jeannie Poole has shown up here. Good to see you, Jeannie. It's Jennifer Whitehouse. Good to see you. Duke Valentina. Karen Carpenter, of course. Deborah Wheeler, I know is there. She's always the first one in. Kenneth and Powers. You mentioned Ron Helton, who had lots of good comments. He's looking out for our civil liberties. Shoney. Let me see who you have here. Yeah, we got a lot of it. It's mostly Hope and Despair. A. Reitz Trey J. I wish I could pronounce his name. Oh, there's R.B. Ham, my boy, R.B. Ham behind the pale up in Canada, running for office up there. Hopefully, they have a populist party up there. So, too bad we don't have one here. Piper Fogel, good to see you here.
What's up, Piper? We got Eric Goodhart. What's up, Eric?
Yeah, Eric Goodhart, good to see you, Eric.
He asked a question. I don't know what this is. That's directed towards you, though.
Oh, Christopher Hall is only 73. Oh, that's true. That's true. Well, some people believe that wasn't real either, Eric. To tell you the truth, who knows? I mean, some people claim they're still alive. I really don't know, but
Chris Buchan made a correction that I think is right. Says they don't have the right, they have the authority. So I love that language a lot better. Thank you for correcting.
Oh, Michelle Truth, my friend from Germany. Good to see you, Michelle Truth 999. Hello, Michelle. Good to know we have a reach like that. I think that's pretty much it. I hope I didn't miss anybody. Thanks to everybody here.
But it is what it is. Karen Carpenter, how are you? Shouts to Jason Barker, the Angry Tiger. Colin Wysong, what is going on? Guard Goldsmith, of course. And Tony Arterburn, the wisest of all the wolves. You make sure you go over there if you're looking for any gold or anything like that. Gold is skyrocketing in value. And like Tony says, he's like, it's not the gold. It's the buying power of the dollar that's plummeting. He's probably absolutely right. So, but go over to Wise Wolf for all your precious metal needs and wants. You don't have to need it. You can want it. Go buy some. And shouts to Tony. Hope he's having fun wherever he is. I hope you're not levitating. All right. I really hope so. He's trying to let me have something. All right. Now, Tony already remote views and picks up heavy things. And he won't, and he taps into the Akashic records all the time. He will not let me just be able to levitate on my own. Like I can't shine just a little bit. All right, Don Jeffries, the legendary. What do you do, by the way? I know you do a bunch of freaking supernatural things that the people aren't privy to. So let them know, and then let them know.
Well, I'm trying to look for I'm waiting for the portable teleportation devices. That's what I want, that you can drop on the ground, because I don't like to travel, but that's my method. I want to travel. If I have a teleportation device, I can go where I want, come back when I want. That's what I'm looking for. So I'm working on that as best I can with a totally unscientific mind. So I don't know.
Good. Don Lambert, what's going on?
Yes, Don Lambert, I missed you. Sorry, Don. Good to see you. Yes.
Shame on us for missing you. Thank you for being here.
Yes.
Don, tell them where they can find you.
Get Substack's the only place I'm not being shadow banned. So if you haven't subscribed to there, most of you probably do. DonaldJeffries.substack.com. I protest, just like my podcast. Latest books, American Memory Hole, and all 10 books in all are out there, but and you can go at Don Jeffries at Twitter. X is they're still playing games and not as quite as bad as it was before. So Substack is the main place. Donald Jeffries at Substack.com.
Did we shout out Shawnee?
Yeah, I said I mentioned Shawnee. Yes, I mentioned it.
What's up, Shawnee? How about this guy? I don't remember.
No, I missed that.
What's up, Rain 527? How are you? Thank you for being here. Everybody that's tuning in week after week after week, we really appreciate you. Again, there is no guarantee we will be on YouTube next week. There is zero guarantee that we will be on X next week. Please go over to our AmericaUnplugged.com, AmericaUnpluggedRadio.com on Apple Podcast and subscribe if you want to follow the show. There's no guarantee we'll be on Rumble. Please follow us over there on Rumble. We need your support. Go over there and subscribe. We're going to stream there every week until we're allowed to do so, of course. But if you want to stay on top of us, and this is not even a guarantee, but it's more likely than YouTube or X, you go over to the podcast on Apple Podcast and you can follow the show that way. We would really appreciate it. Give us a 5-star rating. That helps out a bunch. My name is Billy Ray Valentine, theinfinitefringe.podbeam.com. I put up an episode about two weeks ago. It was really good. If I may say so myself, I'm going to throw up another one very soon. It's going to be active over there. It might be a bit of a different direction, but it's going to be active. I am going to bring on some remote viewers, though. We're going to do that. That's going to be fun. Maybe we can bring on a remote viewer just to see what's going on in the Oval Office, like at the moment. Like, can you remote view into the Oval Office and we can see what the fuck they're carrying on about over there with Elon Musk and Donald Trump? That should be fun. So make sure you do that. America Unplugged, 12 p.m. Eastern, every Saturday, right here on Tony's X account, on Don Jeffries' X account, on Don Jeffries' YouTube account, and wherever else we're streaming. I don't know. Tony set up the stream. On Rumble, go over there. And, of course, you know where to find us via the podcast. Don, we're getting out of here. Is there anything you want to say to the people when we're gone?
Happy Easter, everyone. Hope you have fun. Remember the reason for the season. Celebrate it. Keep the faith. We're in a spiritual battle here, so know what side you're on.
Happy Easter to everybody. Chill with your families. I'm going to buy my kids are grown, but I'm going to buy them Easter baskets anyway, because this would be the first year that they don't get Easter baskets. And
I still get an Easter basket. I still
get an Easter basket too. My wife always gets one. So we're gonna get some for the kids, and I'm probably going to eat all the candy that they don't eat. But they're very protective about that sort of stuff. We're gonna have fun. WrestleMania is this weekend. I don't know if Cody Rhodes is gonna win. I hope he does. I have no idea. That's the only real match I'm really interested in, to be honest with you. It's been an awful build for WrestleMania. But anyway, hope everybody's doing well. Don, thank you for your extra time. Tony, God bless you. Hope to see you next week. Yes. Make sure you tune in at all of these, well, not Don's channels, but on Tony's X, hopefully on Rumble, and maybe on my X tomorrow night, 7 p.m. Eastern, for the live show on Ground Zero Plus, and we are going to go into Stephen Miller and everybody else. Odd Man Out is supposed to join me. Angry Tiger is supposed to join me, and John Brissom, most likely, maybe he'll be there. Not sure. All right, guys, be good. Take it easy now. Bye-bye.
Take care, guys.
Boom.